All right, everybody, we're live. Seeing how this is going, I haven't done it from this location for a while, so I have to check that the bandwidth is enough because we're in the middle of the countryside. Should be okay. Let me know if there's any glitches or anything, or if it drops. But it should be okay, as far as I'm aware. Streaming is quite complicated. Anyway, how are you, everybody? Are you well? Hope so. Plan of today's stream is to basically chat about motors and wait for some of you to come online. And basically the plan is put your questions in there and we will be I'm just having a look through the stream health. It seems okay. Yeah, and got 5 years online. Cool. I don't expect to have that many, but basically talk about motors today. I like doing these lives because I get to talk to people directly and they get to ask questions. And also I get to talk truths without edits. No edits, which is cool. And yeah, so let me know in the chat if you're here and you're watching and you're listening. That'd be cool. And I can see what's going on here. So as far as I can see, we've got a few online. Okay, cool. Right, so, okay, that bike there, by the way, is it's a prototype bike and it's got a Marlin motor in it. And I've got a list of things I want to talk about today. And those things are mostly all to do with this motor and a few other motors. I mean, we're going to be having a look at quite a few things. I've written a proper organised list here, which is pretty cool. Don't forget to like and the chat so it spreads it around a bit more. The more people who hit like whilst I'm online, the more it will get views. That'll be cool. Now, it's a Saturday night. I haven't been very well, so obviously I'm trying to keep it calm. So no partying tonight. Is this a party? An online party? Don't know. Anyway, right. So first thing I want to say, quick mention to the sponsor of my channel, Liat. Wearing a jumper. So go have a look at their stuff. They've got some new stuff for 2026 coming, so should be interesting. And yeah, let me know if you can hear properly. If the sound is good, that would be great, because I can't hear, or if I start doing that, I start breaking the stream, because then I'll clash my internet. It's not powerful enough to go hard with too many things being watched on it, so I kicked everybody off it, just me, so that's cool. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, well, I have got the bike here, which if I move the camera around, you can see. Hang on a minute. Just down like that. And I've got also a picture of it on a screen on my right. Brilliant motor, this. I want to talk about it a little bit in relation to quite a lot of other motors. Hi from Canada. The sound is good. Thank you. That's cool, but I need to recompose. Right. There we go. Recompose there. I've got to switch between apps, and my real estate on my screen is not that big. I need multiple screens to be able to do this properly. But there we go. Right, so yeah. So basically, I thought we'd talk about a bubble. But before I do that, I just want to show you something quickly. So I am not sponsored by them, but Insta360 have been sending me cameras to play with. And I've had the X5, and you've probably noticed on a few videos recently, some of the quality's changed. I've got some multiple points of view, which is cool because I'm using this, a Marc Marquez one. So an amazing camera, very impressed. So if you're looking for capturing stuff, definitely worth trying. If you can get hold of one to try, borrow from a friend. I don't know, even if you're not a content creator, it's probably quite interesting. Just easy to recompose afterwards. Quality's not too bad. Rectilinear lens, though, is still better if you're just going in one direction. But if you want to recompose, These are quite impressive, so that's great. Worth having a look at. Anyway, so I'm going to be using those in a few more views. Takes me a little bit long to edit the videos, but at the end of the day, I get better points of view, more interesting videos. And they work quite well in the light as well. Anyway, so motors. Let's get on. So main topics were basically I wanted to talk about the motor, what I call the motor bubble, which I personally believe is going to come in the next 6 months, 9 months maybe. So what is the motor bubble? Well, in my opinion, bike industry's been going through a bit of a moment, let's call it. Basically, all of the overselling or over guessing how much bikes are going to come on the market hit everybody because they had too much unsold stock. Sold stock, couldn't sell bikes easily, etc. And then DJI or Avinox came out with their motor, which has more power, basically. So you can go up to 1,000 watts. And most motors like this one go 800. This can go 850 actually, or 750, 850. Those are the sort of lines. And yeah, so what does that mean? Well, the motor bubble is basically this motor's hit the market. There was a huge demand where the first markets where it was launched. So a lot of hype from the journalists. And I want to talk about the hype, but I'll talk about that in a minute. And basically, the brands, now we know, because there's going to be, well, I had a new number now, 80 brands with the Avinox, interesting, wanted to install that motor on their bikes. But obviously, you need like 2 years normally to develop a motor. So Avinox obviously went ahead on their own, built their Amflow bikes. Then a few other Chinese manufacturers came on board, a few very small brands as well. Probably do hundreds of bikes, maybe 1,000, came on board, grabbed it, launched. Everybody's interested in it because of the power, not because of the way it rides. Anyway, and yeah, they're online with it. Great, it's going well. All the other brands are going, yeah, we want to sell bikes. It looks like this is the only way to sell it with this motor. Great, let's do it. Let's install this motor. So you now have 67 brands. Not the big brands, mostly the middle-sized brands coming on with it. I don't think any of the big brands will have it, or not for a while, I suspect, because they're a little bit concerned about service. But anyway, they go on with it, and so for the new motor, the M2, which will be coming in February, I think it's February. Everyone's under NDA, apart from me. I haven't signed anything, so I just repeat information I've heard. Real journalist. Basically, everyone's under NDA, but there's a new motor coming, and I've heard numbers between, I think it's about 120 newton meters normal, up to 130, and 1,300 watts, I think. But I don't know if that's at the wheel or if that's at the battery output, because people make stories up, basically. Excuse me, I'm going to cough because I'm still not over my cough. Anyway, so basically, these 67 brands are going to come online. They're going to hit the market with this system at the same time. February, April next year. Okay, so brands are seeing it. Oh, it's the hype. Talking to them. Oh, yeah, it sells. It's going to sell. It's going to sell. It's like, really? 67 brands hit the market at the same time with one motor. Is it going to help? Well, depending on who you talk to, I was speaking to somebody from makes bikes, and their opinion is that if you're a big brand with multiple motors, so different systems, different bikes, having it in your lineup is kind of a no-brainer, worth doing. But obviously being careful with how many numbers you produce in line with the other bikes. But remember, you are now competing against 67 other brands. That's the motor bubble. Because then around, and I've been told this, around late spring, summer 2026, there will be a glut of Avinox bikes, which all the brands hoping to re-kickstart the market, on the market. And there'll be an awful lot of unsold stock. So we'll be exactly back where we were this year, last year. And that's the motor bubble. It's quite simple, really. But how did we get here? This is the question. Hype is the word. I mean, it's interesting. Like, how did we get hyped? How did we get to this motor bubble situation? Well, it's called paid influencers. Now, I'm not going to name names and bash people, but I know who most of them are. And they were paid by, which is fair enough, but they just weren't transparent about it. But there you go. Paid by motor company to hype the system, which is great. They hype the system, and then my notes. People, wow, we want this. We want this motor, so everyone wants the motor. They buy it. Quite a lot of people, early adopters, managed to get hold of it. They love the power. What has it got? It's got 1,000 watts. What's every other system got? 800, 750. It's okay. Not like the end of the world, but, not 1,000. So you ride the thing, sit on it, pedal away without too much effort, mind you. And we can see that from Velomotion's video, which all those graphs that I posted last week, actually, are quite interesting. Anyway, the motor flies along. People are like, I want this, I want this, want this. So everybody jumps. And of course, we all hate Bosch or Shimano, because Shimano is really bad. But I've ridden a Shimano motor this year, and it wasn't bad, actually. It was very good because the bike was good. This is the point. The bike was good. Anyway, so, so we've ended up with a situation now where we now have this third player or second player coming along on the medium-sized and small brands who will take quite a dominant position with a cheaper system. It's about 20% cheaper, 15, 20%. For the whole system, that means cabling, battery, display, motor, cheaper. So brands will have a bit more ability to play with the margins, probably. So they'll get on board, they'll get that motor system installed, and they'll start having fun with it. They'll start selling a few, probably. Not all of them, everything straight away, but they'll certainly probably go quite well in the beginning. And then there'll be a problem. It'll stop. So what's really interesting is the hype which has come on from this modern system, the Avinox, has changed manufacturing consequences. So literally 8 people were paid to promote the motor when they started. And from those 8 people, 2 or 3 of them, you've probably seen quite a lot, had the bike even before it was actually put on the market. And then they said live, allegedly, "Oh, this is the first time I've seen it." Yeah, really? You had it for a year beforehand. And and you were part of the development team as well, allegedly. And there we go. So they hyped it, got on board with it, and motors exploded. Power numbers became a thing suddenly. Nobody really cared much beforehand. Suddenly, it's all about having a lot of power, and I'll talk about having a lot of power if it's worth it or not. And the reality at the moment is now that we have choice, which is an important word, and competition, definitely. Competition is always a good thing. But the competition was already coming, because remember, motor companies work on like a 4-year cycle, so they were already thinking about what's coming today, like a few years ago. And other brands, but they all jump on the market. Now, I happen to have ridden more motors than everybody else. In fact, I've got them on my list, and I forgot to write one, which is called the Centrix. I'm going to put that on there. I haven't actually counted them all up, actually, but this year alone, I have ridden 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different motors. 10, that's a lot. Quite extensively, actually. I've ridden all of them fairly extensively. So, and none of these motors are really a bubble, which is I noticed, because there's no hype behind them. And if I've got my list, let me go through the list. So we've got the Bosch CX. We've got the Bosch CXR, which I've just ridden that one. I've got that. Actually got it here where I am. Got the Marl M40, which is on this bike here, which is pretty cool. And then we've got the Avinox M1, which I've ridden quite a lot, actually. It's quite a good motor. I've ridden it for over a period of time. Obviously caused a lot of controversy by it, just because I've said how it rides, not because I'm particularly against it. I don't really care, because I've tried 11 motors. How can I just be against one and for promoting another one, which I'm not? I've never been paid by Bosch to promote their motors, so just point that out. I've been taken on a trip a few times, and then they paid the travel. I paid for it all, and then they paid the travel like 10 months later. That's happened once. That's pretty normal in the bike industry, auto industry, like press junket trips. So can they be biased because they're paying for you to be there? Possible. I always tell them now, send me the bikes. In fact, recently they've just sent me the bikes. I haven't actually gone on any trips, so less corruptible. That's the aim. Anyway, so Bosch CX, Bosch CXR, Marl M40, Avinox M1, Polini EP3 MX. Tried that one. It's a very good motor. I've also tried, I'm the only one who's tried it that's published anything, is the Yamaha PWX4, which you'll also find in the Giant, I think, but I don't know how much of the Giant it is. And Giant have just recently contacted me asking me to try their motor, so I should do soon. So I've tried it briefly, not perfectly. It's interesting. It's kind of like, it's got a lot of power. It feels something like between the Marl and the Avinox. It feels like it sits in between those two from sort of ride feel point of view. Interesting. I've also tried the brand new Specialized, and I got the EP801. I rode that quite a bit this year again. TQ HPR 60, I've ridden that. And the Centrix, which is another fantastic motor. So, yeah, it's a bit noisy though. It is a bit noisy. It's not, I think a lot of it depends on frame acoustics, but interesting. Anyway, so that's 10 motors. Where's my favorite motor? Good question. When you actually look at a list of them there and you go, right, pick the best one. So if we're going to pick one on battery size, so thinking about battery size only, the two with the slimmest battery, that means long and thin, would be, which they're exactly the same size, is the Marl and the Avinox. Talking to a battery designer, the Avinox battery is very simple. It's got no, they can get it quite light because they've got no ancillaries around it where it's bolted into the frame. So it's literally just a case and the cells. And it's in direct contrast to the Specialized on their new system and their new battery, which is a great bike and a great system. I'll talk about that in a bit. And that battery is much bigger, and everyone complained about it. But the reason they did that was for safety, because each individual cell has a packaging around it. And I've been told that the Avinox battery, although it meets safety standards, must be said, it's not as safe as the new Specialized battery. So that's worth noting to get that slimness, because they pack the cells in there. And the cells are all pretty much the same size. They don't really vary in size. I do have one somewhere. I don't have it right now in my hand, but I could go and find it. But anyway, those are the two with the slimmest batteries. Polini, though, has quite a big battery. They have an 880 watt battery, which is interesting. That's a big battery. The Bosch CX battery, the 600 watts, the same diameter as the Avinox, but they wanted to keep the length the same, and they just made it fatter for the 800 watt, which I think is interesting. I'm not sure if I would have done that, but that's what they did. In comparison to the last year's battery, it is a little bit fatter, but I don't know. I think what you got to remember is Bosch tend to go for a mass market. They're not going just for EMTBs. They're also going for urban, which depending on the country can be more important than EMTB. But I don't think that urban has worked out as well as they'd hoped. And most people are actually buying, EMTBs rather than other things. Anyway, I need to cough again. Anyway, so basically we got that going on. So that'd be my best two for battery size. We got the Yamaha. I didn't see the battery size for that. Looked similar, a little bit bigger, but not much. Hard to tell. Depends on the frame design. Specialized battery, very big, solid thing. Specialized batteries, basically, I think up with a Bosch battery, those are going to be the safest two batteries, probably. Maybe Marl's probably pretty safe because they work with Specialized, so I'm sure they have the same system as them. I don't know if they're producing their battery, but I know that they worked with them in the past, so that's probably what's going on there. Shimano, the EP801. Now, the EP801, I've ridden it on a couple of bikes. I've ridden it on the Cannondale Matera SL, and I've ridden it on Rottweiler and something else. I can't remember. But that battery, the Shimano are interesting. They have an open system, so you're allowed to use an external battery. And this takes us to the Rottweiler with their own battery on their EP801, which will then become that own battery on the Avinox system, which they apparently had a load of bikes delivered and they've all been sold already, which is interesting. So they got in first. But apparently they were working on it in more before February this year when we tried their new bike, the REX. But they already had prototypes of the Avinox system of that, so interesting. That battery is its own battery, but I have noticed with Shimano error codes, quite a lot of error codes come up. I don't know why. Trend power battery on my EP801. Yes, correct. Hi, Trail Shredders. I watched new videos actually recently. Cool stuff. Cumbria looks nice. I'd like to go ride there. Never ridden there. Visited it when I was a kid, but not been there back since. Anyway, so yeah, those batteries. Trend Power also build. Well, I was told by a designer that they taught Trend Power what they know about batteries. Interesting. It's quite interesting being my job. Journalism, is it? What is it? Is it just? I'll ask the question to all the other content creators out there, or the journalists. Are they journalists or are they influencers? I want to say, when you speak, who's paying for your words today? There's my question. Controversy. There we go. Anyway, so that's interesting. EP801, error codes. With a Shimano battery, no error codes. With an external battery, whatever it's called, Dafond, a few error codes every now and then. Oh, I forgot another motor in there. Ascol. That makes 11. The Ultra C90A. What an amazing motor. So, very powerful. Especially on the latest software. Wow. Anyway. So, EP801 battery, not bad. In fact, that brings me back to we'll get down the list here. TQ HPR 60. Interesting, bit grim. Yeah, today was sunny here and 12 degrees. But I couldn't ride because I was coughing all the time in the cold air. So, basically, TQP HPR battery, very slim, slimmer than the Avinox and the thingy, but it's a low power system, 580 watt, down tube smaller, so it's not really comparable if we're talking about full power, but it has got a thinner, smaller battery, and the range is about the same as a full power system. Anyway, let's get on with it. Centrix, big battery. 750 watt or 780 watt, I think it was. Don't like the styling of it, particularly. It's a bit weird. I don't know why they made it kind of like wedged shaped. Strange. Don't know why. But it is actually an interesting system. I need some water. Did I not bring? I'm going to cough a second. Hang on a minute. Give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Otherwise, I'm going to keep coughing. I'm back. Can't let people down off the stream. Can't edit this stuff, which is annoying. Anyway, so basically, Centrix battery is quite big. It fits in well. It's got a good retention system. I was quite impressed, actually. Quite tough to get out, though. So, but it does hold in securely. So that was interesting. So that's the Centric system. Battery's quite good. Now we come to the last one, the Askell Ultra C98. That battery is the most power dense on the market. Tried it, brand new 720 watt, I think, or 750, 720. They also have a 600 watt version, which works quite well. So, we've got 15 people online now. Wow. That's the most I've ever had on a stream. Hope everyone is well. Don't forget to hit like if you're watching. That'd be fantastic, please. Thank you very much. Makes the stream go bigger. And you're like me, Saturday night in. Or maybe you're watching on your phone. I don't know. Anyway, it's all good. Have we dropped any frames? No, 0 drop frames. That's great. Fantastic. Anyway, so Askell battery, super safe. I've seen the battery testing facilities. If you go on the channel and you look down the list, you'll see how they build a battery. Very interesting. Actually, it shows how simple batteries really are, to be honest. It shows the general tech in a battery is more to do with the BMS and the cells. So BMS being how it controls the system, and the cells being how they fit together, like the sizing, the density of them, the quality of the cells. Those good quality cells cost about $4 to $6 each. Rubbishy cells cost $1 to $2 each, and the density of the cell is the main thing of a battery. 80% of or 85% of the weight of a battery is actually the cells, and they all use pretty well the similar manufacturers for the cells. Askell, though, test extensively 1 year their cell runs before they use them in a battery. So it takes a year before they actually build a battery, just on 6 or 12 cycles a day. So you charge and discharge 6 times a day. It's really interesting to see, actually. I was really blown away with how seriously they take it, and they've had 0 problems with their batteries. So on all of that, the smallest battery is actually the TQ HPR 580 watt battery, not the Marl or the Avinox, but doesn't provide full power. So interesting point. Now, Giant have come out with their new bike with a 580 watt battery on a full power motor. We use the extender if you need it. And I would say I'm not against that system, because after using the Bosch 600 watt in the CXR, which is pumping out a lot of watts all the time, don't really have an issue, because this year I've used the 800 watt to end probably 3 times, and I ride a significant amount compared to the general population. So, you know, extenders are, I think, a good compromise to keep the bike weight down, and it does make a difference. That Obeya Wild I've got on test, really amazing bike, really like it. 600 watt hour battery, knock a kilo off the weight. So, and about half a kilo compared to a Avinox battery or DJI battery and the Marl battery. But I don't know. It's an interesting point. Depends on your body weight probably and what power modes you use. Anyway, so that's pretty much the batteries. What about the motor? Which is the best motor? 2025. Should I do a video exclusive just about what the best motor? I might do. It's really hard to choose, really. I've got 11 motors to pick from. Oh, I forgot to say, I am testing the Maxon motor soon. I'm talking to them to try and get one, because it takes a bit of organisation. Getting all this stuff is really hard work. People don't see it, and I don't get paid for my channel to get this stuff. So I do work with Motor.it, though, so you do find most of the stuff in Italian on Motor.it as well. So a double exit for most of the stuff. Do you feel, or have you heard, that Bosch will need to roll out a new motor to keep up with all? I have heard that there is something. I don't know if it was the. Right, good question. Yeah, start throwing out the questions, guys, because it'd be cool. Basically, from what I understand, Bosch is working on new systems, because they would always be doing that anyway. What they're doing, I don't know. So I don't think they're going to be upping the power, because they are interested in this 1 horsepower rule in line with America. But I don't really know much more than that. I know that they're working on it and people have tried it, the newer system, but it's prototypes probably. I know SRAM have got a motor. and that's been tried, and people said it works really well, and it doesn't have the numbers, but it rides exceptionally well. That's what I've been told by somebody who rode it, so it'd be interesting to see that. Low down weight. We've seen some diagrams online from this, all the battery, the whole cluster down together, which takes me always back to this GPL3 from Lapierre. What an amazing bike. That is definitely the best riding bike from weight distribution point of view. Kicks the ass of even the Avanox systems, and it's just because all the weight distribution. That's Bosch, because it's all like clumped into one lump in the bottom, so the whole bike pivots around there, and you end up with a lightweight bike, but it's not. It's a heavyweight bike, so it's interesting. And that was with an 800 watt-hour battery, or 700 or 800. But yeah, interesting. Definitely, that's Nico Vulio design, an idea, which has been floating around for a while. But they only made like 400 of those bikes, so I don't really know how many are actually on the market. But definitely, if people ask me, I want something special, I want something different, and I want it to ride exceptionally, I always say buy a Lapierre GLP3 or 2. Always my answer. It's got a Bosch motor. So, yeah, I don't think the new one's got the new one, though. Maybe there's GLP4. No idea. Anyway, but yeah, Bosch are working on new systems. Like they're all constantly developing. The Marlin 40, which I've got sat here, this is the latest thing that's on the market. There's nothing newer than this on the market. I literally got an email saying there's a software update. So I'm going to have to try that maybe tomorrow. But I'm not going to have the bike much longer. I'm going to literally have it for a few more days. So that'll be interesting to see. Have that online. Oh, we've got 17 viewers online. Hi, everybody. This is cool. Basically, well done, Alex, for your work creating honest, down-to-earth video reviews. Thank you. Watching from Hampshire, UK. You can say hello to my family. I grew up in Hampshire. So, in fact, the town, there's a big motor, it's crazy. The town where I went to school, there's a large motor repair place there. I really want to go and visit and see, like just where I grew up. I went to school. There's this, in the same town, there's a motor repair place. I want to go there and see it. I've spoken to them on the phone just out of interest, but it must be amazing to go and have a look and see what they know more than me probably, but on older systems. So, yeah, honest is a good point. I'm trying to be, but it comes down to one thing. People follow the money. Now, I've always not followed the money, which can be a bad thing, but there's a way to go in the lines in between, and transparency, in my opinion. So I just try to really focus on how the motors ride. And, and when I look at this list of 11 motors, okay, so from a pure performance point of view, what am I looking for when I'm riding a motor? So the main thing I'm looking for is a natural feel. I'm cycling, so I want the cycling to really come through. It has to feel like as soon as I just touch the pedal moves like a normal bike. If I'm on a very steep hill, it won't move. It will sort of move, and then it will go. It has to feel natural. Now, most of them do feel that way, with some being even quicker to respond. The CXR from Bosch is the fastest responding motor, there's no doubt. It just kicks everybody else out. It's milliseconds, but it's so fast, it's probably almost too fast. Maybe, I don't know. The Marlin is probably very slightly behind it, but definitely fast. It's fast as the normal Bosch CX. They're basically the 3 fastest I've tried, all of those systems. The rest of them have a bit of a softer start, let's say. Oh, 12 motors. I forgot the Go Bao. I tried that one as well. That's an interesting motor because I called it, their battery is actually in line with Bosch probably, size-wise. Definitely an interesting one. That's 12 motors. Wow, that's a lot. I've been working hard. I'm trying anyway. So I feel like Bosch messed up with the 800 watt battery, making it too fat. I probably agree. But I don't think they built it for mountain bikes. I think they built it for the urban sector. And I think they probably went in saying, okay, I think if you want a thin mountain bike, you'll buy a 600 and you'll take the extender if you want it. And if you're urban, you'll probably just take an 800. I reckon that's where they started with, because their systems are designed for like everyone. They're not designed just for MTB. So I'm pretty sure that's what they did. But there we go. But I do think they're going to have an upgrade cycle a bit quicker than normal, because normally their upgrades are like 4 or 5 years. So we'll find out. But yeah, anyway, but they are limited by cell size, and they've just packed the cells. I mean, they could make it longer. I think Oli, O-L-I, I haven't ridden their motor this year, but that battery is really long. So when you see it in the down tube, which is quite thin, next to the motor, it's super long. It's like this. So hi from Cardiff. I too appreciate your honesty. I can tell because my experience aligns with yours. Yes. Do you know what's really crazy is the trolling? It goes with the territory. I'll say something. The only people who are allowed to troll me are my kids, and they do it with respect because I'm their father. But they do it with respect, and they can be brutal. They can be more brutal than the internet, but they do it with respect because they know who's their father. So there we go. So anyone else who wants to troll me, it's fine. I don't mind. But it's kind of amusing, actually, because I'll do it back. And the Avinox did not leave me feeling fulfilled. It's an interesting one. So the reality of the Avinox, riding it, is, I think it depends how focused you are when you're riding and what you feel as you're riding. Like if you're focused on the pedal feel and the bike being natural, or you're focused on just the trail looking ahead and you're not really paying attention to the bike, I'm kind of confused how the other I'm going to call them influencers, how they didn't mention how it rides. I just don't understand how not a single one mentioned how they ride. Now, they must have been paid, and they must have been, in their talking points, they didn't talk about that because they were told not to, or they were told, don't talk about this, talk about this. And they went through those. But when you ride that system and you ride the Go Bow, the two together, the Go Bow has slightly less power, slightly less multiplication factor. And even Go Bow design people told me, they said, yes, we have a motor which is more cadence-based because it has a bigger multiplication factor. And you can see it on the graphs. You see it sits between, say, the Marl and the Avinox, sort of not quite as vertical. So I can draw it. Let me draw it quickly. So Avinox, Go Bow, Marl. Avinox, Go Bow, Marl. Amount of rider effort required here along this side. So, and as you can see, Go Bow, Marle, Avinox. So I think you need like 50 or 100 watts and you get peak power. That's quite insane. The multiplication factor. That's what some of the rules that some of the other companies are trying to adjust to keep the bike cycling. They're trying to make it so you don't have too much multiplication factor. I think that's more important than pure power, to be honest. So, favorite. Oh, SX. I forgot to mention the SX. I've written that as well. Oh my gosh. That makes 13 motors. The SX, the Bosch SX. Wow, that's a lot of motors. I've never actually written down in a list, so interesting. So, basically, that multiplication factor gives you the... Well, basically, it gives you that exciting, like, wow kind of factor. That's what it's really about, rather than the peak power. Once you get to about 20 and you've sped up the cadence, so you're not really putting pressure on. So when you, if I'd use this as the pedal in my hand, when you push on the Avinox, what happens? You feel like it. You push on it, and then it goes like that, and when it's about there, then you really feel that it picks up and pushes. But this bit here, you don't really, it's about a third of a circle possibly. You don't really, a rotation, you don't really feel anything. It doesn't do anything. But whereas you touch the Bosch immediately, you touch the mallet immediately, most of them you touch immediately, it comes in afterwards, and then you can barely put pedal pressure and they just fall away and the thing takes off. Yes, you can adjust it, but you still feel like you press and it doesn't respond. It requires that rotational cadence movement to get it to really throw forward, basically. And when you do, you sort of just loose sleeve pedal, and you go, this thing just goes and off you go. If you got it in full power mode or the options where you can give it a peak of 1,000, it's pretty exciting. I mean, you ride away from everyone, really, unless you've got like a proper bike motor with a 3 kilowatt, and you ain't going anywhere. So it's not the most powerful motor on the market, let's be honest. There are others, but they are not bicycles. So I think the Bafang 560, which everyone keeps on going on about, and I'm intending to get one. I think TQ motor is probably the one most of us should be riding. But when your friends are on higher power motors, it won't be fun being last all the time. Probably correct. I would agree with that. Yeah, the TQ motor, I mean, I've got one at the moment on a Shresh SL. I've had it on this year. I've had the same one, the HPR 60 Newton meters, on the Fuel EX, which is a really good bike. I like that bike. Both of them are, I reckon, if you had a peak power of about 400, you'd make everyone happy, because especially the heavier riders, and for the lighter riders, it just blow them away. But when I've had people riding away like 50, 60 kilo on that, they're like, oh, it's more than enough power. I'm really happy. And they keep up with me. So a lot of it comes down to body weight. I mean, I'm 90 kilos in all my gear, which is heavy-ish. I'm 6 foot, 183. So, 25 concurrents. Oh my God. I've never had that many on there before. Make sure you hit like, everybody, if you're watching. Thank you. It really helps. So, yeah. I feel I want to do video game streaming. Should try and play. What's that? I've got it on the Xbox, actually, that video game. But, yeah, people get bored. I'm not a kid. My kids watch streamers. So, interesting. Anyway. TQ, it could really be, it is real cycling. It is real cycling. You decide what happens. The motor's sort of there to help you along, and it's a 2 times multiplication, or 250, 2.2. I think it doesn't go much more than that. Peak out is basically 350, and you can see it on the motor, but that's on the motor, not on the wheel. So I don't know what on the wheel it is. It'd be interesting to have that on a bench testing, but it wouldn't be exciting. And you can vary the Avanox down, but it does feel like you're pedaling bricks. So like you put your foot on the pedal, it just feels like nothing's happening. And they've just got this, because it's got this massive multiplication factor, and it's connected to cadence. And you can see that in all the graphics. If you go look at Velomotion's test, I should do some collaborations with them. I know Michael, and it would be good. Sound is low. Okay. Sound is low. Let me check. Can I up it? I'm already at max. Maybe I should speak closer to the mic. I don't want to blast people out. So I'll speak closer to the mic. Because I can't, if I turn the gain up, it'll like start distorting. Because I've got my meters here. If I go, it won't. Anyway, there we go. So, yeah, basically, the TQ motors are stunning looking bikes. They really are. I mean, the Shresh is amazing looking bike. I like it really a lot. I probably would buy it if I was into that, but I'm more of a full power rider, although I enjoy every type of cycling, even just riding around the city. I love it. On a normal urban bike, I love it all the time. 14th motor. I've tried a Bafang M400. I forgot about that one, but that was an urban motor. And also I've tried one of those ENGWE motors, the sort of the ones on the food delivery bikes, the big fat tire bikes. That's 15 motors. Forgot about that one. But that is basically cheating, because you just accelerate and off you go. Cool. So I finally started tuning my motor tube app to lower the output on the EP801, even on the steep where I am. It's more than enough power most of the time. Heaven knows what the DJI must feel. Yeah, I mean, look, the EP801 is a really interesting motor. I think it's very misunderstood. When they launched it, it rattled like hell. I complained at them. They got annoyed at me for doing that on the press launch. They got really pissed off. Really. Because I complained at them. And nobody else would, but I did. Anyway. So, but they fixed it a bit. And then I discovered, from talking to a frame dynamicist, somebody who designs all the suspension, that a lot of it's to do, the rattle that you get on motors is to do with chain growth pulling back on the chain wheel as the suspension's moving. So the Avinox rattles, but I noticed it rattled on one bike but not much on the other because of the suspension dynamics. So when I tried the Shimano EP801 on the REX from Rotwild, that didn't rattle at all. It was the quietest motor I almost tried this year. And everyone's like, what the heck? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's the frame dynamics. So when you hear a rattly Avinox motor, that's mostly, apart from the design of the motor a bit, the Go Bow's rattly as well, but they're going to fix that apparently. Inside you've got the backlash a bit, or the Pinion MGU. Okay, 16 motors. This is getting a bit out of control actually, my list. I've written that as well. I'll talk about that. Wow, 16. That's really a lot. I didn't realise I'd ridden that many. I thought I'd just ride one or two. I can't keep up with my own head. Anyway, basically, the backlash is what dictates the noise on the motor. And if it's very choppy and very rough downhill, and that motor's not perfect, it's going to rattle quite a lot if your suspension is not perfect. So there's obviously compromises happening in the design of suspension. I'm not a suspension expert. I know it how they feel, but I can't sit there and go into the dynamics of it. Alan Muldoon would be better at explaining that than me. But basically, it pulls the chain back and adds to the rattle. And the Shimano one suffers from that. Avinox suffers from that. But they fixed it in quite a few other motors, and they don't. They're very silent. So Bosch, dead silent. Specialized, dead silent. So, also I've ridden the Gen 4 Bosch this year, but does that count? Maybe. 17. Wow, 17 motors. We've got 23 of you online. Great to see you all online. Thank you for watching. I'm very grateful. So looking through I'm trying to keep up here, and I'm looking through. The 801 was too sensitive to rider power input, at least on the Moterra SL that I tested in March. The rep warned me before I test rided it. Wife found the same. Too sensitive. It is quite sensitive, yeah. But it's, when you look at it on the graphs, it's actually, I call it the Asian tune, because just motors that come out of Asia, so Japan, China, that area of the world, they all have this sort of rampy tune on them. So I don't know. The EP801 doesn't peak very high. It peaks at like 580 or something, but does give, you know, a lot of initial help. But it doesn't feel like it falls away. You do have this support in it, but I'm not sure how they get there. It's all this cadence, torque balance that they do. And a motor designer explained it to me, and it just clicked. And I was like, got it. I rode the PWX3 as well. That makes 18 motors. This is an interesting list, because I was talking to him about it as I was riding the Yamaha, and we were comparing it to the motor he makes. So, yeah, you can turn down the sensitivity. The apps, the tuning is the point, actually. You can tune all of them most of the time. But the number one bike for tuning right now, the Motor System, and I will buy it over others for tuning because it doesn't collect your data. You can just turn the bike on and it works. You don't need to connect any apps. Is this, the Marl M40. This is like the most data safe system out there. Fantastic. The other systems are a bit, okay, you can turn bikes on, all of them, without having to connect to the app, but if you want to tune them, you normally need the app, and they grab your data. Don't like that. My contract is with a bike company, not with the motor company. I'm buying a bike. Therefore, why should my data be going to the motor company? If anyone should have my data, it should be the bike company, not the motor company. Anyway, controversy. Excuse me. I can't ride in cold air yet. Maybe not tomorrow. Apparently my SX is known for rattling, but I haven't noticed on my bike. Pivot. Yeah, a lot of it's frame dynamics. Definitely. I'd like to ride. I've seen that bike, but I haven't ridden it. So it looks nice. Really nice bike. So yeah, anyway, basically 27. Wow, that's a lot of people. Hello, everybody. Okay, I appreciate you on there and watching. So the more you hit the chat now with questions and the more I can respond. If you're watching on your TV, 40% of my viewers watch on TV, or 50%, which is incredible. So, you know, if you've got your phone, pull out your phone and like hit the chat and there with questions and stuff, and I'll go through it, because that's actually on my list, actually, question and answers, getting through all these. But I didn't get to the point. What's my favorite motor? Ooh. So the natural feel. Yeah. The Marl on the Specialized SL Gen 2. I rode that last year, not this year. Good motor. They turned up the power and obviously it drained the battery quicker. There we go. So, yeah, I mean, so all these motors, the Avinox has the least feel to it. You can't tune it in. It's just indicative of the design of the motor. The most, I think the Marl M40 is the motor with the sort of the nicest, best feeling power band so far. But I need to go back to ride the Specialized because I'm sure they were doing a good job, but I didn't pay attention like I am now, because at that time I wasn't on all the other motors and comparing them the same. So I need to get hold of another Specialized and go back and do another test on it. I do have the video, obviously, and it was the most powerful motor I tried at that point, because it was before the Bosch update, even though I'd ridden the Bosch on the Bosch before the update was launched. So, hello from Denmark. Love your channel. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Denmark. I've never been there. I'd like to go to Denmark. It's probably quite flat. Interesting. Tell me, what hills are you riding? Are there hills? What kind of riding are you looking for on a flat environment? I mean, I live at 400 meters or 300 meters, and I have mountains around me. I can go anywhere I like, up to 1,500 meters within like half an hour to an hour drive. I'm spoilt with incredible trails in every direction. It's really unbelievable. I just don't know how I ended up here, but there we go. So I'm interested to know a huge significant portion of the market, because I was in the UK in the summer as well. Unbelievable, nice trails I rode there, but no elevation at all. I was like, wow, I can just do 1 minute. So I do like 20 rides, 20 descents to keep up, basically. Anyway, the SOAM is amazing, but I preferred the Shuttle SL. But that motor has no range extender, plus it's unreliable. Felt great and silent. Interesting, yes. Yeah, the SL bikes are underappreciated. They are a smaller segment, and it was Specialized who started it. Do you live in Spain? No, I don't live in Spain. I'm not actually telling people exactly where I live, obviously because it's the internet, because doxing, so I don't want weirdos turning up. But I travel a lot, I'll say that, for work, but I'm often in Southern Europe, let's say it like that. Hello from Croatia. My trails are in my backyard. I've been riding Croatia. That's an amazing place to ride. I love it. Very similar to Italy as well. Mediterranean style. In fact, that part I rode in was Italian speaking as well, which was quite surprising. Most flat, but I have built a 0X EXO 2026. Too much travel for Denmark's, but perfect for me. Yeah. You know, cross country's fun as well. We've got 29 viewers online. Wow. Thank you, everybody. I wonder if we can get to 100. Probably not. Just tell all your friends to follow and share it. But basically, Gen 5 with Volspeed tune, just fun. Yes, tune them. Do you know they took 2 years to crack Bosch? Because it's like under layers of protection. But it took 2 years to crack it. So there you go. It's a very difficult system to break. Speed limit. I'll tell you about speed limit. Why do we have a speed limit? Basically because it's about bikes being classed as bikes when being used in urban areas with pedestrians, and they don't want people, if they're hit by a bike with an engine on it, to keep it in the right tax bracket or whatever. basically, if you're hit by a bike, once you get over a certain speed, I think it's 20 or 25 kilometers an hour, the injuries to the pedestrian that you've hit exponentially go up. That's what I've heard of a research paper. I haven't been able to find the research paper, but that's apparently why. So that's why they're limited to 25. There's apparently a really good reason for it. So fair enough. I don't really care. Like, I'm absolutely fine with 25 kilometers an hour, to be honest. Like, even then I find myself riding past most people when we're just going for a ride, just because I ride a lot. So I'm in a hurry to get to the next trail. SL bikes are great apart from when ridden on really steep stuff such as the Kafel Trail and Kumyan. Yes, the steep stuff is hard on the SLs, but it'd be even harder on a normal bike. The bike I bought this year was a non-e-bike. Can you imagine? Just needed to get back to the roots. 4 mile climb and felt awful on my leave SL. Wow, yes. 800 kilometers with vol speed and not one issue. Good. Interesting to see. I need to try Kumayan. Looks incredible. I sort of know how to pronounce Welsh words, but not properly. Kumayan. Yeah. Anyway, interesting. Yeah. The trails, like steep climbs to get up to the top of the mountain. I mean, basically that's why I like riding, to be honest. I like the view. That's one of the main things. Cool ride up, nice view, look around, appreciate you're sort of elevated in space, and then down the trail. Nice corners, wheels attached to the ground. Don't intend visiting hospital again. That was pretty horrific. Go check out the video if you want to scare yourself about the crash. Pretty horrific experience. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. But I think if you do crash, you start to realise. In fact, I can't watch any of the videos about the other riders that have crashed recently and broken their backs and stuff. It's just, it's PTSD, if that exists. Just makes me lock up with horror, and I just can't watch it. Makes me feel ill, so best not to. Anyway, so with a full power bike like this, like the Marl M40, Avinox, Bosch, when you're riding up the hill and you're getting to the end of the long hill, this feels like it's the most consistent push to it, where it's still natural. When you're on the Avinox, it's just spinning. You just spin at that point because you're going fast enough that you just spin. Even if you turn the cadence down, you don't really need to push. You just spin, just a little bit of pressure, but not much. And when you do push harder, it doesn't follow through. It accelerates, then it gives you the push. The Bosch is way more reactive, so you take the pressure off the pedal and it backs off almost immediately, and then you put it back on again and it comes on again. And yeah, so yeah, I can't remember. The Specialized in shuttle mode is very similar to this, the Marl, which I would say. I have a Czech Rail Gen 5 9.8. Great bike. I rode that. I did a test on that, yeah, and use only 85 Newton meters now, riding a Trek Fuel Plus MX with a Tiki Edge, and it's natural. The bike is insane for me. I'm 70 years and riding MTB, 35 years. Greets from Belgium. Hi. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, you know, my mother's 72. She rides a Cannondale Moterra. Unbelievable. She bought it used. She actually had one of the very first e-bikes in the UK, a Cube. But interesting. She had to do a special order years ago, 2012, I think it was, 2013. And she's upgraded to the Moterra, and she flies. She's unbelievable. But she never uses turbo. She's always in just the lower power modes. So an SL bike, I don't know. I don't think there's like, it doesn't discriminate against age or whatever. I think it just depends on what you like to do. So if you like just chilling and appreciating the view around you and like looking over through the woods, look at the view, look down, look at the trail. You don't want to break uphill, because with this thing here, the Marley, you're breaking uphill. You're breaking uphill with the Bosch. You're breaking uphill with the Avinox completely. You're foot out with the Avinox. You're like breaking a foot out all the time to try and like guide it up the hill. That's why I call it a motorbike, basically. This almost like that, not quite, but you still have to brake uphill when you're in full power mode. So we don't need these full power modes, basically. They're there to grab numbers and marketing. You've got to talk about numbers, no? So interesting. Anyway, back to the point. ESLs, yeah, they're an incredible design, really. And I think if you go back to 2015, I was at the launch of the very first Turbo Levo. Now, I don't remember the stats, but I'm pretty sure it was 70 Newton meters. The battery was 420 watts. And the peak power, I don't know. I can assume it was 400 to 500, probably. Because when I tried the next version up, it was more. And it was 90 Newton meters. So they upped it. I think it was 70 or 75. And now a TQ HPR 60 is basically at that feel, but a little less peak power. So, you know, you're not missing out on anything. The only thing I will say is that I don't believe the motors can get any smaller or any lighter because you're running into the wall of physics. So I find it interesting that Mahle and Avinox, who are trying to push the most power out of the smallest package at the moment, have come up with these sort of cascade style gears zones or helical design, so planetary gears, which is what the Mahle's got. So you have to look it up. Look up planetary gears and you'll figure it out. You'll see that that they can't make them any more compact because you have heat issues. They're going to overheat and they're going to have to then derate. And the batteries will overheat. And the physical size of the coils to generate the magnetic force with the current that we've got or the power that we've got in the system, you can't really get it much smaller than 2.5. They must have got there for that reason. 2.5 kilos is the limit, I think, with a full power motor. You're not going to get much underneath. But saying that, what about the Centrix? That's very small, but it's got an oil bath. And it has had a few issues, from what I've heard, but I didn't have any on my test bike, so that was okay. Heat dissipation, derating. That's why those bench tests are so cool that Velomotion do. So, don't know. Interesting. Anyway, the smallest motor is TQ HPR, and there's some other ones that we've seen on the channel, but basically they're 1.9 kilos. Getting smaller than that and then having any more power, you're going to run into heat issues because the HPR 60's got these fins on the bottom of it, which you can remove, but it does reduce, due to heat, the power of the motor down. So they've obviously done that for a reason. If you look at the Avinox motor as well, you take it out of the frame, it's got heat fins on it as well, these little radiators. And apparently the new one is even heavier. It's about 2.8 kilos because you need, to get the extra power, you need more heat cooling. So I'm wondering, can we water cool our motors to get more power? It seems like the next things. For undulating trail riding, the two SL bikes I own have allowed me to average just over 30 miles per hour when I push myself. Anything more powerful, then I'd be hitting the speed limit all the time. Exactly. Yeah, 1.9 kilos of TQ HPR. Yeah. So that's the point. Like, because also once you start getting power more, I mean, look, you saw what I did. I mashed myself into the ground and I was going 30 kilometers an hour, 35, something like that. And severe damage happened. So, before that, I hadn't really crashed severely. So once you go beyond that, yeah, flow trails, dual use trails, mixed use trails, walkers, people, you know, low skilled riders with powerful bikes. There's a lot in there. So SL motors aren't bad, I have to say. And they make the bike a bicycle, which is one of the points of this bubble thing that I put the title of the video. You can't have, basically, you can't expect to have a, let's just check. So the stream seems fairly healthy. That's great. You can't have basically this system with all the power, no idea, and it's all about the motor. In fact, most of the shops I talk to and the real people who buy them, they're interested in motors. The numbers do something for them. But at the end of the day, the shops are really worried because it's all about the motor. Now, people like me don't help that if that's all I'm testing a lot of, because it does get, people are really interested in it. But bikes, the SL brings back the bike as the most important point, which is why I'd love to try one of the Pivot ones, because they look amazing and I'm sure they ride amazing, because I've ridden one of them. Is it Pivot or no, the Yeti, sorry. The Yetis. So I'm assuming the Yeti rides, I mean, that suspension system, if it's the same as that was on, I think it is the same that was on the Shimano version, which was amazing. It was an amazing bike, but they're very expensive. I mean, we're talking 10,000, 9,000 for the cheap version and 13 for the top. That's a lot of money. And which circles us back with all these motors. And I said this in my last video, or a video I dropped online, which just annoyed a few people, which is fair enough, which is that basically the high-end bikes need to have high-end motors. I think what that will do also will distinguish the bikes a little bit more and make it more about, you buy a bike, you're not buying a motor, maybe. Don't know, controversy. That's what Specialized did, and I kind of start to understand why they did it now. But they did it by software limiting rather than actually physically. Bosch did it better because they had like a lighter case, the axles 100 grams lighter, things like that, you know. I have the new Levo from S-Works, non-S-Works, and turbo's crazy strong, and now it is rumoured that an update is coming to get more power. Too much in my opinion. I mean, really, if you're feeling really tired and really lazy, I can see your turbo mode. It's amazing. You just go, and you go up the hill. But anything more than that, and you're really, or like if you just want to like ride normally, it's, you know, it's unnecessary on most normal trails that normal people can ride. Like I took this on the extreme vertical rock climb, which I've got not far from where I am, and it can't cope. It's got too much power, and it's just, there's no grip. Even with, this is like got the multi-pole traction control, whatever you want to call it. It knows what's going on. It's wet, it's slippery. You've got too much. You've got to turn the bike down to get up there. There's like a limit to what's necessary, in my opinion, for enjoyable riding where you're not. And I like injured myself riding up this steep hill, falling off because it's steep and vertical, rocky, no balance. It becomes frustrating. It can be fun if you've got grip. Yes, you can lower the pressure of the tires, things like that. But, you know, it's still, there's limits. There's not really necessary for all people, because you've got to buy a bike for where you ride it 90% of the time or 80% of the time. Don't buy a bike just for that 10% that you ride, maybe once a year. The Yeti and the Pivot SLAM ride very similarly. Both are incredible. Efficient as they can be, experienced above the cutout speed on the flats. SL motors have less resistance and feel like they disengage. Yes, that is absolutely correct. I agree. The SL motors do disengage better. This isn't bad, I have to say, but it's still not like an SL motor. The TQ is perfect. Like, you just don't feel anything through the disengagement. This one you can actually tune how it disengages, which is interesting, and it's data safe. You can do that in the app on the actual display, which is fantastic. I could just show you now how it does that, but I have to move the camera, and I'm going to move cables. But I have got the app. I can turn it on. Hang on. Let's turn it on and see if we can do this. Hang on a minute. Right, that's on. Let's have a look. I'm interested to see this, actually. The disengagement, because I was complaining about that. I said that in my first video. That's a bit of a mistake I made, probably. So, oh, I'm in the wrong app. That's the wrong app. I need, oh, which one do I need? Where is it? Do I have to log in? Okay, we'll try it. Anyway, sign in. Do I have to type it? Oh. No. Okay, continue. Sign in. Is this the right one? Because there's a couple of apps. Connect my e-bike. So that disengagement can be tuned on this thing, but you can't do that on all bikes. So that's interesting. Right, I'm into the app. It's loading. E-bike configuration, motor maps. No, it's not this app. I'm in the wrong app. Where did I install it? Too many apps. This is it is a bit of a headache. Oh, here we go. No, that's the Pinion one. E-bike Connect Smart Lab. Goodness. I'm causing myself stress because I've got too many apps for bikes on my phone, which is rather absurd, I have to say. But it really is annoying, actually, all these apps. I really get annoyed with them. So I can't tune it. I've got to find... Oh, there it is. It's the Dev app. There we go. So we're loading up. There we go. Loading up. Connected. Right, I'm connected. It says I need to charge this bike, actually. It's got... it's not a fast charge. It's 4 amp. Even though it's 54 volts. And it does charge a bit faster because of that, I have noticed. So... I could do a live charge now, maybe. Shall I go and grab the charger, plug it in and see how long it takes to charge up? It's at 54%. Right, if I connect to it, drop me a comment below if you think I should go and charge it, just to see a bit of a live online charge. Oh, it's got an error. Interesting. What's the error? Over voltage protection. Interesting. Doesn't say anything more than that. Error 5 not documented. Please contact your manufacturer. It is a prototype, so fair enough. I think that happened when I was riding. It conked out on me once, but that was the last time I rode it. But there we go. Anyway, so if I want to tune it, how do we tune it? Connected. Oh, the settings at the top. There we go. Motor map. So on this bike, overrun, you can put short or long. I backed it off actually because it's too much. Here we go. The cut-off behavior. That is the only one that I've seen you can tune it. I think that Avinox you can as well. But this is swift or soft. And I think that is a setting which we should have on all motors. It's really good. And you can do that inside the screen. Hello. Hi Alex, I've come across a great offer on a Bros Drive Mag S carbon e-bike with 720 watt-hour battery. Do you think most is still a solid choice in 2025? If the deal's good, yes. I had one of those on a Specialized Turbo Levo. It's a great bike. It's a great motor. All the errors have been ironed out. So yeah, great. Price is everything, actually. If you're looking... Okay, mountain bikes are overpriced. You heard it. I mean, I think they're overpriced, and I'm online testing them all the time. Well, not mountain bikes, sorry, e-mountain bikes are overpriced, but not the high-end ones. The high-end ones can be as expensive as you like. I don't mind. It's that price range between like 5 and 8 grand where you find like, you go, this has been made to make money. It's not really, because you'd think they've compromised on one feature over another, and you're like, why did they do that? It's probably didn't cost them at the manufacturing gate much more. I don't know. I'm not buying lots of product, but I even know shops that go and buy off the web to sell to customers sometimes. So goodness knows how the actual supply chain actually works. But whatever it is, yeah, the bubble of torque and Newton meters will burst at one point, and other characteristics will become more important. Exactly. The whole bike needs to become important. The thing is, though, if I do videos on motors and details, at the moment they're interesting. People are like them. So I've got to kind of follow the trend a bit, obviously, to grow the channel. But sometimes I just want to ride a bike. So if you look at the Shresh video, I just rode it and just did like a ride test video. I've ridden it quite a few times now, and I loved it. That video is really calm, gentle, calm. I was just enjoying the bike. And I think that's an approach that I have to have. It just means doubling the work every week. One motor test, one bike test a week would probably be ideal. And that way we can drag it all back to the bikes rather than just keeping it on, the motors. So, but I'm telling you now, I have never been paid for a bike test. So I kind of get annoyed when I do see other channels who are saying they're testing bikes and they're just reading off the specification sheet or the talking points. And then they're saying it's a test, and it's not a test. If you're paid to test that bike, you're not testing it. And I'm not the one saying this. If you go into the tech space, you go into say, well, I'm saying it, I agree with it, but I didn't start saying it that way. But you go into the tech space and the bike tests, the computer tests, they're not paid for. And if they do like a sponsored spot, they say this is a sponsored spot, and they're very clear about it. Now, I have to say, since I've been banging on about it, I've noticed quite a few YouTubers have done what I've said, so they must have been watching. I know they've been watching me, but there we go. So I want to do more bike tests, but obviously I have to pay the bills. So I tried to, maybe I should offer some sort of specification read-alongs and sort of experience videos. That might be quite good for people. Fast charging being bad has been debunked. Yes, there was a kid who did that, didn't he, with the mobile phones. He had like 20 mobile phones. He's been testing them over years and recharging them. There's some weird video out there where they're like going through testing, they recharge it 100 million times or something, and then they come back a few years later and recharge it. Fast charging's been debunked. I don't know exactly what has been debunked about it. There is a performance drop-off, but how extreme it is, I don't know. All I do know is that there are in the car industry, in the car world, because I work with automotive as well, and cars that have been fast charged in hot environments, generally speaking, there's a Norwegian guy who does this research. They have more knackered battery packs than people who've lived in like 20 degrees Celsius all the time, and they're charging their batteries on a slow charger, never on a fast. But I don't know. Like, there's the biggest, this is where we get to the point, which is kind of the bubble point. That why are the industry listening to a bunch of YouTubers who are making videos to get views, and then they go, oh, we'll change the whole industry just so we can go follow the trend because we're going to sell more. It's like, are you listening to YouTubers like that who you've just paid? It's insanity. It's like a dog eating its own tail. So, don't know. Anyway, I think it's insane. There we go. But yeah, so the car industry is, they like electric cars, charging them, and I just don't think they're practical for long distance driving. For city use, fantastic, but long distance driving like I do is just, I'm really on stop for an hour at a time to charge up. But for the city use, you don't have to charge them really. You just drive around the city, and then it depends on if you've got an apartment or a house where you can charge. There's a lot of complications there. So I want to know if that research though is real, like who's paying for what. And we come back to the internet being a bit of a disaster. Like, we need some independent people, and I'm trying to be as independent as I can so I can give the truth to people, and I'm not told on these talking points without telling you guys and saying this is a talking point. Like every video I say this is a video is supported by Liat, because what they give me stuff to use, and they support me, and they've helped with some production stuff, and it's like, wow, thank you. And I think I don't test helmets. I mean, like, well, I have, but not in an intended way, but that would be the point. Like, we need a bit more clarity on what is independence. We need real independent product reviews, and especially on the electrics and the motor battery charging with like support, finance behind it. So if there's anyone out there watching and they want to join in and we start a whole sideshow on that, that would be fantastic. But it's just about you're burning money. I mean, or maybe you're not. You'll just be more important. I did a video on charging e-bike batteries in mega cold, and it seemed to be a hot topic. Haha. Very funny, good joke. When I looked at the science, it made a lot of sense why charging cold hurts it. Perfect here at this time of year. Basically, I know Tesla, they preheat their batteries before you charge them. So before you get to the charge spot, it starts to prepare the battery for the correct temperature. So when you plug in, boom, it charges at the correct temperature. So I always say to people, store your batteries indoors at like 20 degrees. So that's basically the best way to do it. big fluctuations in cells is the issue. Now, I do know this guy who I did an interview with. It's called Ravi Kempala. You can Google him or look him up on LinkedIn. He, from what I understand, he works with battery development. He's got like 3 PhDs, and one of them on like the details of anodes and all of that. And he told me he knows a lot about batteries because he's in the research for all these people. And yeah, I mean, a lot of it is about the tech involved and getting those anodes and cathodes so they don't break down with the chemical reactions, because you've got chemistry going on in the batteries. So it's basically like a Swiss roll rolled up with all the gel in there, and then yeah, it's meeting the lithium gel, and yeah, that causes, and that's where you get an ion buildup, I think, on the cathode. I think that's what happens. So they're sensitive. My big problem is can you repair them? So after watching the battery building video and seeing how they weld the battery cells together and the precision they do it with, I realized you cannot do that at home easily and make it look as good as it comes out of the factory. They have a specific machine that goes zzz, 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 and does it, and they develop it in-house. Very impressive. So you're risking, and you can risk all kinds of problems if you don't do it properly. Linus Tech Tips have a video where they tried to resolder battery cells, and they ended up like chucking loads in sand because they caught fire all the time. So there we go. But there is a new directive coming from the EU, which will mean that there has to be some repairability going on. So they probably have banks that you can switch in and switch out, which makes sense. So integrated batteries are a no-no for me. Want to be able to take out the battery. I agree. So it's I want to take the battery out as well. But they do look better than not, and they make the frames slimmer. This is how Avinox have got away with their marketing BS, because they haven't got any hardware in a battery. It's literally, it's the outer container, and there's 2 screw bolts, and that's it. And there's nothing in there. So you don't have any mechanism holding it. You don't have any extra reinforcement on the frame. You don't need it. So obviously it comes in lighter. The bike is lighter as well because it doesn't need that reinforcement. That's why when I did the dismantling the bike thing and we come up with that video, it's like, or is it the system or is it the bike that's lighter? And it's the bike that's lighter more impactively than just the system. Because again, you can't get batteries of 800 watts much lower than about 3.5 kilos. Anything lower than that with a current cell technology, and you're going to be struggling. So integrate, yeah. So yeah, definitely an issue. 28 concurrents. Wow, that's impressive. I'm really unbelievable. I guess with an average view duration of 10 minutes. This is amazing. I'm really grateful for everyone watching this. I should have somebody sat next to me so I can chat to them a bit more. I did message someone, but I need someone who speaks good English. Otherwise, it's sort of a bit useless on this channel. So I can do it in Italian as well. But if there are any Italian viewers online, it'd be great to drop your comments in the thingy, and I'll respond in Italian. But yeah, basically, the battery tech, we are at a sort of limit, let's say, currently. So that is the problem, the limit of the battery tech. I mean, if we can go bigger, with bigger batteries, or more density, with more energy density, that will make a big difference. But then at that point, I'd say, well, hang on a minute. If the power of the motor is going to stay like it is right now, and we're not going to increase that, and we're going to... and you can't physically, due to heat dissipation, make the motor any smaller, then I'd say just give me a smaller physical battery size, and I'll keep my 500 to 800 watts, honestly, and I'll go for a small slimline extender that just clips to the frame, like really thin one. Like imagine just if I really want one, but otherwise I'll just stick like that, because the practical use of the power is pretty much, I think we're already there like 10 years ago, but you know, obviously the design and the fine points have come in better. So yeah. Anyway, so we've got, how long have we been online for? Been on for a while. I've got to check. I think we've been on for an hour and a half. Wow, these streams always go on for a long time. I always intend to go, I'll just go for an hour. And I'm talking to myself for an hour. Can you imagine? But I like the prompts. It keeps me going. And I want to do, like, ideally having a weekly or a bi-weekly podcast with me and somebody else like this, like real life, not with 2 screens on a Zoom call. That's kind of cack. I don't like that. But it would be great to do that and just do that weekly and cover all these kinds of issues and just chat, because my opinion is fine, but like I like the input from everybody else, and I do actually like competing with people and hearing their inputs and like making me think and then like see what's going on. And I like the tech as well. I mean, I studied science and earth sciences at university, so I do actually understand, including physics, and I do actually understand what's going on in the system, but it can get rather yawn-inducing for some people. Gets a little bit too niche maybe on my channel currently, so it's better to not go that far right now. Anyway, so I think the battery tech is basically about reduce the physical size now, probably get them smaller, shorter, whatever, and keep the same energy, or keep the same energy levels but increase the density. So a solid state battery is happening soon, which I've heard about. That's an interesting potential. Okay, so I've been to a lot of the trade shows. I've seen some of the battery makers. There is an interview on motor.it from the launch. I don't know if I published it on my channel. I don't think I did. Where the Chinese battery maker dude, nice guy, speaks very good English, or he's Taiwanese, I can't remember. Anyway, well, they are the same thing, politics. Basically, he said to me that 40% of batteries in Europe are unsafe. He's talking about lithium-ion batteries. So moving to solid state, he said, nah, it's not going to happen. Not for a while. I think they still need the tech. We would already have it now, probably, if it was already there, because if they're safer, they're this, they're that. We'd already probably have it, or on a few sort of halo products. I mean, at the end of the day, I think if we have to look at supercar technology and aerotech, that's where, if they're not using it, I bet you it's about energy density. They haven't got there with energy density to make it practicable currently, and price. So, yeah, the Tiki motor can only be driven with the extender. Are there other brands of e-bike motors that can do this? Yes, the Bosch. You can actually do that with the Bosch, but it derates it to the SX, apparently. So you can do that with a Bosch motor. So you can technically travel. No, you can't travel with the extenders, though, because they're too powerful. So I think the limit for aircraft is 160 watt hours. That's why Specialized do it. Specialized, you can run it off just the extender. The SL bikes. And the big bikes don't have extenders? I don't think they do. Do they? No, they don't. No, they do. They have an extender also on the new one, on the Gen 3 one. Yes, they do. And you can run it just a thing, but it derates the power. It gives you like 400 watts max. So that's a problem. I haven't tried it, to be honest. I tried it on Specialized. I did try it on that. I took out the battery and rode it on just the extender. I have a video clip somewhere on all my hard disks, which are all behind me. But yeah, I did do that with that. It does work on that. I haven't tried it on the Bosch, but I know it works. But it is derated. It doesn't go at full power. White do it, I think. White allow you to do it. I think you can take the battery out on the white bike. Yes, Bosch has an extender for the rail. Yes, and you can take that, just run it on the extender, take the main battery out, run it on the extender. Probably good for traveling. If you really want to do that, just run it on 600 watt, that's my point, because it just fits in anyway. So, and it's smaller, lighter. Which means just buy a Santa Cruz. Great bike, by the way. Bullet's amazing. So fast. I can't even access like 30 to 40% of the possibilities with that bike, the Bullet with a new Bosch. It's so unbelievably beastly big bike for just charging downhill. It's just, I mean, I like reading the comments where people call me a crap rider, which is interesting. Like, I just like to encourage them to come and ride with me, and then we can really see. You know, and I'm just going to go slow, to be honest, right now, because I have an injury which I'm recovering from, and I don't want to break my back again. So I'm going to take it easy because I'm not paid danger money. So there we go. Anyway, but yeah, so the whole battery weight thing where you can save weight, you can save style. So I just think, I mean, we've already got basically amazing products. These bikes are amazing. This thing here, the M40 motor on this prototype, is a Cristal bike, I think, but I don't think it's a proper production one. It's just a non-production. They said they're going to send me one to test for a long term with the branding on the bike, so it'll probably be different to this, but it's amazing. This bike here is amazing. It doesn't do anything. I mean, it's got amazing brakes on it, by the way. Best brakes on the market, in my opinion, are the Hayes Dominion, my opinion. Maven, excellent. These, even better. ABS, very interesting. I haven't been using those quite a lot. On the Bosch, do like them. They activate. Safer when riding in extreme wet and mud. I definitely fit some ABS from Bosch if you're not trying to win championships all the time. You just will ride normally. Fantastic. Stop you slipping around. Give you better control. Did a video on that last year, actually, before I crashed. It was very interesting. Anyway, we are coming to basically the end of what I really wanted to say. I think I covered most things with a bubble. But yeah, I do believe, we'll conclude, that the bubble will happen and there'll be too many Avinox bikes and you'll get a big deal. Like, I already know there's Avinox bikes that they can't sell already because they're just slow to sell. The demand isn't there, because I think anyone who wanted one has already bought one, probably. So you're going to have to wait for people to change, move on, and then they might buy one. And at the end of the day, you're going to end up with multiple motors to be offered to the people on the market. So you can choose your motor, really. And that's why we should have a standardized motor connection. Haha, there we go. Good luck. But yeah, it makes sense, because then you can just choose your motor on the bike. TOC do a brilliant one. They have like 3 or 4 different motor systems possible with their bike. Also news, Ducati, spoke to Ducati yesterday. They are coming out with their own e-bike line, not based on TOC anymore. Interesting. So, and I was finding out all about it. It wouldn't give me any details which hadn't already sort of been out there, but it gave me quite a clear idea that they're really developing it and looking for a high-end bike. So maybe a brand that in the end becomes super interesting. So, and it's not far from where I am, so go and try and test ride them. That'll be cool. And I suspect they're probably going to use the Avinox. But again, the last thing I'll say is all about service. We talked about it with the batteries. Can you change the cells? Will be happening. I want sales, after sales service and parts, because apparently it's a nightmare where I am right now getting hold of spare parts for Avinox. Really annoying. You can't just walk into a shop, walk out with a cable. You can with Bosch. You can with Shimano stuff, mostly, depending. But it's like that after sales service is so important. Marley, you can as well. They have already dealer networks everywhere, because they're gravel range of bikes with the hub motors. They already exist. They're already on the market. They already have a network set up for after sales for spare parts. And I think that's fundamental, in my opinion, for a complete consumer experience. So Bosch are excellent at it. And if anyone ever has an issue with Bosch not managing to do it, and they're really stuck, you can DM me and I can probably ask, because I know some of the tech people who can like hurry things along if there's a real like problem. But yeah, if anyone's really complaining about that, but I had that happen once. But basically, all of the companies offering the after sales service is the fundamental point. And this brings me to Yamaha. What are they doing? Well, they offered the whole bike, you could fix it at Yamaha, and now they've left the market. They're not coming back. I've heard that from Yamaha. They're not coming back. But they are coming back with the motors, which will be on third-party bikes, and I should have one to test in the new year, which would be fantastic, the PWX4. But yes, so we counted 18 motors ridden this year. 18. I don't think that many YouTubers or influencers, I'm a journalist. Journalists have actually ridden 18 different motors in 1 year. I think I probably beat the whole market with that. I mean, somebody might have done, but I don't think so. This year, 18 different motors. There's some on there that people haven't ridden that I have. The Go Bow coming out. Brings me on to the MGU. I almost forgot. Honestly, if you really want a bike which is vastly different based on the performance of the motor, the battery, the ride feel, that really affects the ride feel of the bike, the MGU is the way to go. Riding that bike, it felt like you had a fork on the back and the front. Suspension on the back was unbelievable. No suspended weight, unsuspended mass. The suspension is super supple, super sensitive, functioned really amazingly. It meant that a bike with a lower level of components on it rode better than a high-end bike which had a traditional system. And I've been told that quite a few companies and also bike brands have, rather than getting too wound up about the big numbers, like one of you guys just mentioned there, they're actually going to the constant velocity systems. And we did see some of those at Eurobike this year. But I really believe, based on my experience on the MGU, which I really liked, that had as much torque and grip as you needed on. I've got this super steep hill on the top of Monte Falterona, which is got really good grip, and it's like almost 45 degrees. It's so steep. And I got up on that as well as I did on the most powerful motors like the Ascol, which is unbelievably powerful as well. And it's, and it's only rated at 90 Newton meters or 85, 160 in the lower 4 gears. But that's kind of like because of the multiplication factor at the wheel, not on the motor, which is another thing talking about. How do you measure it all? There's a lot of confusion out there, which is not being dealt with well by influencers. They're jumping on numbers which mean nothing in the big picture, in my opinion. And the MGU is a great example of that. You ride that motor. It's not, people complain or have said, oh, but don't you find it's really noisy in 4th gear and in 8th or whatever it was, or 9th? And I'm like, really? It's all fine. It didn't really annoy me. It was okay. So I should be getting another high bike, top end one with that system. So again, I've got to ask them actually again. I'll remind them. But yeah, that was the most game-changing ride feel was on that bike. Ride feel downhill. Uphill, it rode like other bikes. The shifting was different. You had to get used to it, but wasn't bad. I like the instant be able to stop, just select the gear you want to start and off you go. You didn't have to like fiddle or guess you're in the right gear. I kind of like auto shift for that reason. Or coast shifting, not the auto shifting, but the ability to, you're coming up to something, you can prepare your gear so you're in it without moving your cranks. That's pretty cool. So the constant velocity is where things are going to get interesting. And I do believe that there's one in Scotland and there's a couple in Europe that are working on it. And that is where I think it will get really interesting, in my opinion. And I will try and get hold of them, obviously, as soon as I can. But my next mission is to get hold of the Maxon motor. So I will be talking to them soon, and I will try and get that as soon as I get one. I'll do a video immediately riding it that day. I'm pretty quick at editing, so I can shoot and edit in the same day normally. And I'm doing 150 videos a year, 3 a week average, which is a lot. So yeah, busy. Anyway, so I think the 24 people who are currently watching, if you can all make sure you've all hit subscribe, you probably all subscribe to my channel anyway, but it makes a difference. There's a famous YouTuber that was streaming a live video stream of a Fortnite main event, and it dropped on everyone. They couldn't watch it. He was one of the only people online. He had 1 million viewers online at once, and he asked everyone to subscribe. Just go 3, 2, 1, subscribe, boom, and he got 40,000 subscribers in like 10 seconds. Really unbelievable. Anyway, that's not going to happen here. We're talking about e-bikes here. Very niche, but there we go. But we're having fun with it, and that's the most important thing, having fun on bikes, and I love it. And I'm going to try and keep riding for as long as I possibly can, even if I'm just pootling around the city on the flat with an e-bike, with a belt drive, and just like, when I'm old, and I'm really old, hopefully I get there, then, yeah, I'm going to be happy. Bikes are fun. They're enjoyable. They're community. There's so much going on. Really enjoy it. I love the tech, but I also love the bicycling experience. And let's try and get bikes back to being bikes, not just talking always about motors, but motors are an important part of them, definitely. High performance stuff, is important, but the amount of people that can actually access that high performance of a bike is very small. And I can't get to I can access the full performance of most of the mid-range bikes. Some of the topper bikes, like the Enduro stuff, get to sort of like 80% usage, missing that last bit. But there's some bikes out there which my skills do not allow me to max that bike, because then you get into life-risking behavior riding at that point. So there we go. Anyway, right. Okay, everybody. So any last questions, drop them in there. But fundamentally, I appreciate everyone for watching the stream. And maybe next time I do one, I can have someone with me. That'll be cool. Then we can just chat about bikes and stuff, selling to the end consumer. I've got in mind a guy who's cool, who works in a shop, and he just deals with people all day, every day on all types of bikes. So it's great to have him probably come in. And I just appreciate everyone for watching. And I'm going to try and stay as honest and clear as possible. If I do get sponsorship on any videos, I will say that the video is supported by, and it's not a test if I'm just riding it for like showing how it works. That hasn't happened yet, but it might in the future. We'll see. And that would be great, because it means I can do more or have better quality, or, not just rather than living on the edge all the time. Anyway, so that's the aim, to try and build the channel to a point where it's like becomes basically the de facto point of as close to as being as generally honest as we can be without just talking because somebody paid me to say something. That's really my main aim. And and that's what I want to try and do. And I'm doing it, bit by bit, slowly. And also don't forget to check out motor.it, which is in Italian, but you can also now hear me in my own English, which has been AI'd in there, which is very weird. But I do lots of stuff on there, so sometimes a bit different to on this channel as well. But this is my do whatever thing I want. Anyway, thanks guys, and take it easy. Have a safe, maybe I'll come back on before Christmas, maybe, if I've got something interesting to say. But have a safe Christmas, or safe holidays, or whatever it is that you like to do at the end of December. Anyway, bye everybody. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you. Bye-bye.